a lot of ego issues. There's a lot of competition. This is also part of the competition. Patience is not there, and people just want to, now be more boastful about things. So that superficial factor is there. They don't want to invest in themselves, but they don't want others to invest in themselves.
It's so true.
This is happening.
So true. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching or listening yet another episode of The Midwife. I'm in conversation with Daksh Sethi today, who's just 23. And why I'm emphasizing the word, the age 23 is because when you start talking to him, he doesn't look like he's a 23-year-old. He seems like he's 30 with that much of wisdom and that much of intellect, and it's crazy. He started his own company by the name of Ruby Rogers very recently, and it's doing wonders even in this short span of time. And well, let's get right into a conversation and see what his company is all about. And I'm going to stay mum now. Thank you so much, and please continue to watch this. Yes, perfect. How are you?
All right. I'm good. How are you? I'm really sorry for this delay.
That's
there
fine.
was something happening at home.
Okay.
And I had to sort of pay attention to that. So yeah.
No, that's
So yes, I see the vibe, the mid vibe in the background. That's really nice.
Just trying to keep it more professional because it started off like as a whim, but I'm like the process of it. So I'm just like, let's just give it some more vibe.
That's really nice.
Thank you. So have been looking forward to this conversation since the day I contacted you, because it's something that I deeply resonated with, because like I've just been 2 years out of college into a corporate, and what you do is basically for people like me, so that once we come out of it, there is like no vacuum, but we really have some context as to what's going to come ahead, right? I'm really looking forward to it, and I won't like pressurize you, but I'm hoping to have some key takeaways from this conversation.
Absolutely, Ashna. I've been looking forward to this conversation as well. And it was pretty interesting the way you contacted me, and looking forward to a conversation like this. I've gone through your podcast, the 4 episodes which you have, 6 episodes if I'm not wrong. And yes, you've been doing great. So I'm looking forward to this as well, and I hope I'm able to live up to the expectations.
You will.
All right, great, perfect.
First off, tell me about Gubby Rogers, because what I've seen, I understand, but I want you to elaborate on it as to how you came up with this idea. Firstly,
it is Gooby Rogers. That's how it's pronounced. And not an issue that happens. And this is a venture which I've wanted to start for a very long time. The thought had come to my mind almost a year from now, but it was 2019 last year. 19 happens to be my date of birth as well, 19th of December.
okay.
And for some reason, the number 19 is very close to me. It happens to be my lucky number. That's how I'll try to keep it. So my idea with starting something of my own was always there, and I really wanted it to be in 2019. So the thought, the process, what to do, how to do it, everything had started. And the biggest takeaway from this is that I got my company registered on my date of birth on 19th of December 2019. So it's not that old, but the point is that it's so close to my heart. The idea, the concept, the name, that I wanted it to be something that I can associate with. So we share the same birth date. Back in college, I've been very, very active with people. I've always loved to interact with people. I've always been by default in leadership positions. It just happened. Like I haven't been that neta wala guy, but it's always been that I've ended up becoming a part of the think tank or whichever group I'm in. So, so this thing was always there with me. I got into this soft skills training automatically because I knew that I had that understanding. So I did a lot of research. I studied for a long time. I interacted. So that experience which you have with professionals, understanding their body language, understanding their thought process behind the soft skills gap which exists in India, also enabled me to get an in-depth understanding. So it's not superficial at all. सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, you're going around and talking about these things, but if you don't know a subject, it's of no use. The idea behind Gooby Rogers is it has always been that way, I've always wanted to get into educational events. It is not
Okay.
edtech, but it is about bringing the right people and the students who require that information to the right platform, and that
Mm-hmm.
transparency that this is authentic information, and the people who deserve, who want that authentic information, get it.
Yeah.
And I am the mediator. I'm there to prove to make sure that it happens in the right manner. So that is something which I've always stayed on, and this is something that I was doing. So this is a brand which I'm trying to create in the process of defining somebody who's a Gooby Roger. So I want to give the tag of a Gooby Roger to an individual, and anybody and everybody cannot be a Gooby Roger. So these are people who have proven that if you believe in yourself, anything is possible. These are people who have defied the odds to define the future. So this is the tagline, this is the definition of a Gooby Roger. So I'm still in the process of doing that. They've already started doing that. So initially, I was into these physical interviews with people who have inspiring stories to share. But because of the lockdown, obviously everything we couldn't meet. There was social isolation, etc. But that didn't really stop us. I went on to my own podcast, which is called Ghar Baithe Charcha, and that is where we talk to Gooby Rogers, and we've been interacting with them, bringing real life stories, real inspiring stories to the people. So, yeah.
So what's the criteria of being a Gooby Roger?
Right. So, well, we do a very in-depth check. We have a background check. We understand where did this person come in from, what is the outlook, what is the approach in life, and what are the kind of people he or she has impacted overall. People who've genuinely, done something. No matter which part of society you belong to, you don't have to be, from rags to riches. I'm not talking about anything of that sort.
Yeah.
But people who have authentic, who genuinely done something at ground level. So,
That's very interesting. So what do you think stops the would-be entrepreneurs in our millennial generation?
So that's a pretty interesting question. So I think there are a few points. It's not. I don't think there's just one umbrella of.
Could you increase your volume? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one problem that you can identify as to the main problem behind it, but there are a few problems definitely. One is confidence. I know. So you don't have to be good at English. You don't have to be from the best of schools. But if you have that self-confidence that I am the first person on the list of resources that I have, you are an entrepreneur the next day. That's the mentality that you need to have. So Golgappa Wala did not wait for somebody else to start selling. That person did it himself. He took that initiative. He's not from a reputed school, no educational background per se. Very, close to the basic minimum level of income, but still is doing well. It has taken that risk. Why? Because he's confident enough within himself. So that is what is stopping people today, and it will continue to stop people. It has always stopped people. You don't have to be from the best of schools, but it's your upbringing which really matters. The kind of confidence that parents and grandparents sort of have around the child at home, giving the children that kind of leverage, the openness to talk, to think. I think that is very, very important. So this is one aspect which I personally feel lacks in people. And since I've been interacting with students, which are basically the next generation now coming out of school, are now out open in the flesh all by themselves, they find it very difficult to start something, although they have an idea. But what is stopping them is the confidence that they have, which is not there. So one is definitely confidence. Second is a lot of pressure in terms of a stable life, a stable job. Stability in income is something that when competition increases, everybody looks for. If it's easy to get a job, you would then take risk by default. कि ये नहीं होगा तो job तो मिल जाएगी. But today job लेना इतना मुश्किल है. There's so much competition that you would avoid taking the risk even if you had that potential.
Yeah,
that is something which is there, and I don't think anybody's at fault. To be very honest, I think everybody has their own issues at home. Everybody wants to lead a good life. Everybody wants to do that. People today, the younger generation, really wants to start earning at a very early age. They want to be financially independent. Girls want to be financially independent. That's amazing. That's really great to watch. But the problem is, again, the stability factor. It's taking risks is not the problem. but what if you fail? What is your backup? Losing out on money is also, it's never the solution to anything. So that is one thing that is always at the back of your mind, which will stop you from doing. And the third, very, very important, and I think unfortunate reason is a lot of peer pressure. So I know a lot of people, and this is very unfortunate. I'll be very honest about it. A lot of people who have ideas, who have genuine ways of doing something. They have that spark of confidence in them, but then there are people around them as friends or as just acquaintances who know that if this guy succeeds, it is a good opportunity for him to do something well in life, and just to nib it in the bud, just to get a closure as soon as possible, just to not let people move forward in life. It's happening. There's a lot of ego issue. There's a lot of competition. This is also part of the competition. Patience is not there, and people just want to now be more boastful about things. So that superficial factor is there. They don't want to invest in themselves, but they don't want others to invest in themselves either.
That's so true.
This is happening.
So true. So obviously, like we spoke about the top 3 things according to you that would-be entrepreneurs stop themselves from going forward because of those 3 pointers. So tying it to the confidence part, it's like a very, obviously it's something that I think you would also resonate, that when you constantly face rejections, your confidence sometimes gets tweaked and twisted every now and then, right? In whatever aspect. You're in a relationship, you get rejected, your confidence goes down. You're going for an interview, you get rejected, your confidence goes down. Maybe for a while, but it does. So I'm sure with Gooby Rogers, with the training programs that you would try to take forward to the corporate world, to the corporate organizations or like colleges, I'm assuming you wouldn't get like a yes for all your cases, right? You might have had certain rejections. So what's your way of dealing with those rejections? And especially in your initial phase right now that you are, how do you deal with that?
So a very good question, Ashna. Rejections are a part of the process, and before getting into the process, I knew that. Like I had it at the back of my mind that it is not going to work out 10 out of 10 times. So I never started off with this misconception in my head that main jo karunga wo hoga hi hoga. So I was actually prepared to get rejected than to get accepted. So I started off that way, and trust me, it worked. It worked wonders for me. I'll tell you why. Because the initial few, so the first 100 clients that you make, that's what they say. The first 100 clients that you make, you do it yourself. Like it's just a saying. What it means to say is that the first initial, the main, the important clients that you make in the early stage, you have to do it yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So having said that, the first few colleges, the first few corporates which I contacted, it was very difficult to firstly convince them, to give them. So I have, what credibility do I have? I'm just starting off. They see your face, ek achhi si kahani aapne dekh li, sun li. What other than that? Nothing substantial to talk about. So initially, you will find it challenging, and I knew that this is the problem. So it's going to be there. So let's not cry about it. Let's just try to make it work. Try to find out loopholes in the person you're talking to, so that some way it gets worked out, and you're able to crack a deal or something like that. So it happened the first time, it happened the second time. I failed the first 2 times. Then it happened the third time, it worked out because I knew what was going wrong. I found the loophole in my client. I pitched it accordingly. I had that first deal. Right now, once I have that first deal, now I know that I've got that opportunity. So I did not wait for an opportunity. I created one. So this is also one trait that is very, very important, that you don't just sit, that opportunities do not knock twice. Yeah, that does not happen. That happens when you're actually moving, but not when you're starting, So it's very important that you create your first few opportunities. So I created that first opportunity, and I knew the moment I had that first deal, now it's up to me if I want to make this or break it. Right? Iske baad ab kuch nahi ho sakta. So I was excited, nervous, etc., but it went exceptionally well, and the feedback which I got was crazy.
Okay.
And that's when. So now I had one thing to show to the next person I go to. Right. So credibility ek point upar aa gaya. So the next time, now I knew the loophole. Plus, I knew I had a credibility factor with me. It worked out pretty well the second time, and then you moved on. But at the same time, what's also important, Ashna, is that I was marketing myself. Marketing myself in the sense I was also putting it in a professional manner. In a professional, I was on LinkedIn. I train people on LinkedIn. We manage LinkedIn profiles for people. So I know the importance of LinkedIn. So I knew that if I had LinkedIn and a LinkedIn account, it was important for me to also showcase the kind of work which I'm doing. So I've never used social media to impress people, but to impact people.
That's what your bio also says.
Exactly. So, I mean, the only problem with the bio is that I can only put it in few words. Otherwise, I have a lot of things to talk about. Yeah. So I keep shuffling them around.
Go on. This is it. Say it here.
A lot of things. So I have 5 rules which I follow. And so we will come to that. So I was using social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. So if you go through my Instagram page now, it's very different. It's not a personal profile. You know, it's not that kind. So I've removed all those photos because I want people to understand what I'm trying to do. So it's about impacting them, not impressing them. I was also marketing it. I was compiling all the work which I was doing, and that is also very important today. When in the day and age of social media, of digital media, it's important to show people what you are doing in a proper manner. Like you don't have to boast about it unnecessarily, but it has to be out there. Absolutely, it has to be out there. So that is something that I was doing slowly. So you know, brick by brick, you begin to build a wall. And once somebody sees that, okay, you know, 1 brick, 2 bricks, 3 bricks, there is something coming up, let's go have a look. And that is when people actually started noticing. And from the first 4-5 clients which I personally made, after that, I have never pitched it to anybody else. I have always got responses. So people have contacted me, been the other way around, for the simple reason, the kind of work which I was doing, I never took my work for granted. I never said that, you know, I'm good at what I'm doing, but I will not put in more effort. So the feedback for me, what's most important is the feedback which I get after my workshops, after you know, any service which comes to an end. It's very important that the person or the people there, the students there, have understood, have connected, have related to what I'm trying to say, have been impacted, not impressed. So the moment I get that, that is what actually builds you forward. Because I know that although I have a lot of numbers behind my back, I can't really, you know, it's not skyrocketing. I can't be on cloud 9 just because I have so many numbers. There's a long way to go ahead. So it's about understanding, staying grounded and staying deep in your content. You need to understand your work. बोलना एक चीज है, लेकिन वो जो आप बोल रहे हो वो अच्छा भी होना चाहिए, वो deep भी होना चाहिए.
And वो values के साथ match करना चाहिए.
Absolutely. So that's how it started. So now coming to answering another point of yours, you will fail initially, but if you know that you're going to fail, there's nothing to be scared of. Like I said, it was all reverse psychology for me. I was not prepared to get accepted. I was actually prepared to get rejected. I knew it's not going to work. You know, I haven't made a car yet. I don't have a work. You know, if I come to you and I say that, you know, I need, let's say, 10 crore rupees, I'm going to set up a factory, you're obviously going to reject it. So I knew that.
Yeah.
I have nothing to back my, back my gut feeling or my proposition which I have. But then tweaking, you have to stay calm. It might work, might not work. Eventually it will.
When you said that you thought you had it already prepared in your mind that you were prepared for rejections. So do you believe in the power of your thoughts and that your thoughts do manifest into reality? Because if you do, then isn't that something that you're thinking negative and then you're trying to manifest that negativity into your life?
So the word that I use was reverse psychology. So it's also about understanding the process. So I'll tell you, so there are actually 2-3 things happening simultaneously. There's a process that you follow. Okay. The process is that I have to approach a college. I have to conduct a workshop. For example, there is a workshop for a corporate, could be a company, could be a college, whatever. There is, the process is that I approach them, right? Okay. There is exchange of thoughts. What am I going to propose? What am I proposing? What is it that I'm going to be talking about? If I have 2 hours to talk, what is it I'm going to talk? That has to be proper. That is what this is what I'm delivering, right? If this is strong, then the other things will find their way around. So I was never worried about कि ये हो जाएगा तो मैं बोलूंगा क्या. I knew exactly what to talk about, and that is why I was okay with rejection, because I knew that one day it will work, because I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to fear. My content is good. I know exactly what I'm doing. So I was clear in my head.
You had the belief.
I had the belief. I had the self-esteem as well.
Yeah.
Right? If you tell me, I can actually go on, I can start a workshop with you right now. I can start talking about the next 2 hours because I know exactly what to talk about. I don't have to rut time. So I know what I'm doing. I know I'm good at what I do. So I was never afraid of getting rejected. If I know that it might work, might not work, I will actually be afraid of getting selected. Because मैं select हो गया तो मुझे I have a responsibility to fulfill. You know, there's an elevator's pitch, right? There is a B plan. There's a plan that you propose at times to investors, right? It's a part of it. So over there, what they look at, so an angel investor, let's say somebody comes, X person comes to this angel investor, says, I want you to invest in my company, etc. Now that company is in existence, but it hasn't reached the scale where it should be right now. But what does the investor look at? The investor looks at the quality of content right now. Will it eventually pay off? Is it strong enough in its own zone that it will pay off? That is what they look at. They said, बाकी problems हम देख लेंगे. You need your salary, will get that. You need the transportation, you need a setup cost. वो बात की बात है. आप जो eventually कर रहे हो, वो बताओ आप. If that is strong enough, I'm ready for that investment. So it's a substance, it's the quality of work, it's what you eventually want to do, the process of doing it, which you have to be absolutely clear. So I've always considered that to be my X factor. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm not adamant or arrogant. Please don't take me that way. I'm very, very flexible with the way I work. Very, very flexible. But it's about what I eventually have to deliver. I have to be very, very good at that.
So now I understood, yeah, with the context. So now that you're in touch with today's generation, like our generation, you're in touch with people coming right out of college, you're in touch with people who are in the corporate world. So what do you think that, like, what are some skills that millennials definitely need to be more impactful? Because if you see, we all want to be impactful. Most of us, not everyone, but most of us want to be impactful, but we just don't know how to pave our way through that impact. So what do you think are certain skills that we need to be more impactful?
So I think the first skill is, and it's very similar to what I just said, it's about not just self-confidence, but also understanding the process, that everything has a process. You cannot come from point A to Z in no time. It does not happen. So it's very important for you, whatever you want to do in life, you want to be impactful, you want to be an influencer, you want to open a boutique, you want to open your own restaurant chain, you want to open a car factory, whatever you want to do, you have to be clear in your head. It has to be on paper. If you can't write it down, if you can't write down anything, it does not exist. There's another theory for that. That is why there has to be a documented, so the document which you prepare, which is known as a business plan. It's not prepared. It's not a conversation that two people have. Everything has to be written down. That's when you specify it. So if you're not able to prepare a business plan for yourself, which means you're going somewhere wrong. You're wrong somewhere. So in fact, I attended a talk by one of the entrepreneurs. He's doing pretty well in Noida. I'm forgetting his name. He's a South Indian. And the first thing that he said was that if you can't write it down, if you can't pen it down, it's not the right thing to do. Everything has to have a process. So that process has to be aware that it's not going to happen all of a sudden. There is a process. So be in love with the process. It's day by day. It's brick by brick that you have to build on. So that is one thing definitely there. Secondly, I feel presentation skills are, this is something on the soft skills side. Presentation skills are something that people are lacking in, and there's a lot to do with the kind of people who you are around today. There's an old saying that, you're the average of the 5 people who you interact with the most. That's one thing. So yeah, so you have to identify the 5 people who you are around the most, average them out. That's who you are, right? So the people around today are very superficial. This generation, why? Because you have everything on digital media. You don't want to put in effort today. You are on the move.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in it. I mean, you can't blame this generation, right? Just because you were not born with a transistor in the
With
house
the
and no
hardships and
ACs,
everything.
so I mean, you're not at fault, right? So this is where the problem is. So the people around you are also superficial enough, which tend to make your life a little more superficial. You become very easygoing. You become, chalta hai. The language that
Complacent.
you adopt,
Yeah.
you become complacent. The diction that you get, the language that you have, the attitude towards the elderly, the attitude towards other people around you,
Correct.
will get affected. And this is where then it eventually impacts your presentation skills, because you become a little more snobbish. So I'm finding this a
Yeah.
huge problem, that people are becoming pretty snobbish these days. I don't know if it's because of the upbringing, because of people living in Delhi NCR, people, I don't know why. Could be digital media, for all you know. But they are becoming very snobbish. They don't understand the process. They just want to be there.
Yeah.
That's
And
all that they care about.
yeah. Yeah. And this also reminded me, so this was like, have you seen this video by Simon Sinek and Tom Bilyeu, wherein, I don't know, it's a very famous video by Impact Theory. So in this, Simon Sinek says that, like our generation, we're so used to feeling that we're very special. Our parents, because we're in a nuclear family, our parents always make us feel that you're a special child. It's okay, you didn't get good grades. It's okay, you're still special, blah, 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 blah. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But because we're so wired to feel that we are special, so we can't take bullshit from people. And that's how our ego is also getting boosted with each day. And
Right.
again, because we feel we have it all, we don't want to work more towards it. So coming back, if like, what's your take on mentoring? Because especially in India, we don't really have that mentoring culture, right? As such, we have that culture very much prevalent in like US and UK, wherein you have
Right.
mentors at school and then you have mentors at the workplace, and that really helps you to really excel in your career and in your academics. But we don't see that in India. So what's your take on that?
Well, I can't generalize the fact that do we need mentors or not, but I feel people do need mentors in life. And at times, it doesn't have to be a third person. So for me, my mentor is my dad. So it's basically a reality check. Who is your reality check? Like that's the definition of a mentor. Somebody who can guide you in the right direction. And if you're going in the wrong direction, before you move forward, that mentor is there to stop. So that's the reality check. So that's what I call a mentor. Now, in my case, it happens to be my dad. And for all reasons, although we have a relationship, he happens to be my dad. But he also looks at whatever I do as a third person. He never looks at it from a father's perspective. Never.
Like an
Never.
unbiased
And I
view.
think absolutely unbiased. Like if I'm doing something wrong, he will say to my face that this is wrong, fix it. And that's the kind of conversation that we always have. When it comes to work, whenever I need guidance in whatever sense. So my mentor is my dad, and there's absolutely nothing wrong in it. So a lot of people say that you need to have a third person. There should be a godfather, somebody who guides you through all that. So this concept is there. It's there in the West. I have a lot of friends studying in the West right now who have settled as well. Who they go by this trend and this culture. So the problem in India, which I feel, is that we're not open to sharing too many things with people who claim to be our well-wishers. There's this perception, there's this hesitation in opening up, and just the way we hesitate in opening up to our parents, the same way on a professional front we hesitate in opening up, and this is something that I personally see. Now, talking about being a mentor for somebody, So I don't feel that I have, um, you know, I have reached that level where I can mentor people. But what I do and what I'm good at is, yes, guiding people in the right way. If they find comfort in me, a lot of people find comfort in me. I'm not bragging about myself, since you're
Hmm.
asking this question. There is this thing, and I'm able to guide them just to, keep them grounded, to be the reality check that, what is it that you're doing and what is the process that you need to follow. You just have to keep somebody calm, down to earth, and that's the only thing that will push them forward. I don't really have a criteria, to be honest. I'm happy to help. But yes, you also have to be a good listener. So the 5 rules which I was talking about. So the first rule is that you have to be a good listener. That is the first rule on the list. You have to be a good listener. This is something that I have imbibed. I have made it a part of my personality that I listen first and then talk. You have to be
And
a
these
good
are the five
observer
rules of what exactly?
of life.
Of life. Okay. Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
pretty generic
Hmm.
statement for life. So you have to be a good listener. You have to be a very good observer, because half the
Hmm.
things that you learn is cognitive learning. So you have to be
Yeah.
you have to observe half the things, and you learn 60% of it, 70% of it, and that's all that is required. People don't observe. We're busy on our phones. We don't consume. We want to consume digital content more than what's actually happening around us,
Hmm.
and that is what the problem is. So I'll tell you one very bad thing which is happening these days, is that a simple timetable, making notes in college, people are okay with clicking photographs but not writing it down.
Yeah.
You
Been there,
never
done
learn it
that.
that way. That. So this is human nature. This is the factor which people are missing out on. No matter how
Hmm.
advanced this society gets, no matter how much money you make, you will have the human brain will work the same way. It needs to write it down, do it, practice it, and then learn it. This is how
Hmm.
it works. It will work that way. No matter
Right.
iPhone hai ki kaun sa phone hai, it will not matter. So these are very, very small things, being observing people, observing the way people behave, talk, body language. This is something I've done personally back in college. This is something that I now preach. Since I
Hmm.
practice it, and I'm continuing practicing it, it's important to observe people. That's where half the learning is. So one of the things I also say, that when you reach, if you want to become a senior manager, you relate to this. If you want to become a senior manager, an assistant manager or an executive will eventually become a manager, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
it does not happen overnight, right? Plus, there are so many people around you. And when you reach at the manager level, you have to look like a manager, you have to behave
Hmm.
like a manager, to talk like one,
Think like a
right? You can't
manager.
be the same executive. You have to think like a manager. So
Hmm.
this happens when you observe a manager. So the third point is, so you become a good observer. Accept criticism. You have to be open to criticism. You have to
Hmm.
observe criticism. Accept criticism. It's okay that people don't like your work. It is okay that things aren't going your way, and you're open to positive criticism, negative criticism. You just have to take it in your stride.
Hmm.
Very, very important. And this is something that people are missing out on. The fourth rule is, you have to train your mind. You have to tell yourself, you talk to yourself that there's a long way to go. Again, staying grounded, understanding the process. There's a long way to go. You also have to stay mentally strong, and that is where training your mind comes in. Like, you just have to be okay with spending time all by yourself.
Hmm.
Managing time management, family life, work life balance is something where training your mind comes in. You have to stay emotionally stable.
So my last question now, before I end this conversation, is what's your mid vibe like? And when I'm saying what's your mid vibe like, I mean like, so you just started off last year. So what is it? What's your vibe right now? Now that you've taken the first few steps, what's your vibe like now? What's your aura like right now?
Very good question, and I'm really liking this question because it's
Thank
something
you.
to do with what you're doing. This is a very good question. So the vibe which I feel I carry right now is that I'm making an impact.
Hmm.
People are liking what I'm doing. They are getting inspired in some way or the other.
Hmm.
And how do I know this? People are telling me. People are telling me.
Okay.
People are sending me messages. They're calling me up.
Hmm.
They're commenting. There is this exchange of thoughts where people are finding some substance, they're liking the kind of work I'm doing, and they're getting impacted in a positive way. Could be inspiration, could be motivation, could be taking a decision, taking a step, a reality check. In some way or the other, they are liking what I'm doing, and that is the vibe which I carry right now. I don't want to say whether I carry this aura or not. This is something for them to tell me. But I am liking this. I'm liking what we are doing, what I'm doing, and the process. I'm enjoying every moment of it. So that's the vibe which I carry right now.
Great. Understood. So I think with that, I will finally conclude the conversation. And I'm so sorry with all the network errors that were happening.
Not at all. You don't have to be sorry.
So much, Daksh. And genuinely, I don't feel like you're this young because you have so much of wisdom to offer at this age, which is insane and crazy. And like, people who are watching this or listening to this, they should definitely go check out his page and his work. It speaks volumes of his intellect and just his genuineness in general. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aradhana. That was really sweet of you. And I hope that this conversation and the mid-vibe overall does exceptionally well. They're able to impact the people that we want to impact. And I wish you all the very best too. Technical glitches, Murphy's Law, can't help it. Completely fine with it. It happens. So yeah, I don't think that will have any kind of negative impact on the conversation again. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for having me on the show.
Same here. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Ashna. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
I hope you gathered some key takeaways from this conversation. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give us a review. Keep going, embrace your vibe. Until next time. Thank you. Take care.